Right edition, welcome, happy day, Canada. I want to share some Canadian news with all of you people everywhere in Canada and around the world. Canada, there's no elected person in charge there. The country is manned and operated by pretty much by appointed people. Let me give you one example. You would think that the Prime Minister would be the Commander-in-Chief, right? Not so fast. He's not. The Commander-in-Chief is actually the Governor-General, and of course he's appointed. And years ago they've had a variety, or over the years I should say, they've had a variety of Governor-Generals. Just the last Governor-General prior to the one they have now was a black lady born and raised in Haiti. I think she was a citizen of that country, and she was a nice enough lady, I'm sure, but what if we would have gone to war with them, for instance, and she was a citizen of that country and she's in charge of our army? Come on already. That's pretty weak. I mean, that's Canada. It's kind of scary. Is anybody actually administrating the affairs in Canada? And back to the elected people and what they don't do. The activities of Parliament actually reflect some sort of a reality show. It's a gong show, more like it. It's a whole bunch of bad actors with a bad script. And if that's the group that has actually been elected to represent the Canadian electorate and to run the country in a manner that to further its economic progress and different things like that, and freedom for the citizenry, the citizens of Canada have to go look in the mirror. It's wild, it's out of control because no one is in control. I look at the government of Canada, they're a conservative government. They've always had, they've been in power about 7 years, they've always had about a third support from Canadians. That would be 60 some odd percent, 2/3 of Canadian citizens that don't support them and don't vote for them. Now, I'm one of the third that votes Conservative. Why do I do that? Because I have nowhere else to go. If you remove people like me from the mix, there's probably 10% of Canadians that actually vote for the present government because they are not Conservative. I remember when they were first elected, it wasn't an hour went by when they didn't give money, zillions of dollars, to someone else. I mean, they spend more than Liberals. They're like a bunch of drunken sailors, and the rights of the citizenry have not been restored. Gun laws and a whole variety of other laws that were supposed to be fixed when they came into power were not fixed. Back to appointed things. Let me share with you what happened in High River, which is just south of Calgary here recently. It's been in the news, and I'm sure you know this story. The police broke into houses and took guns. Now, how did they know what houses to go into? That would be the firearm long gun registry. Of course, it still exists. The government made a big show of saying, we got rid of the records. It's kind of like deleting an email. If you delete it, guess where it goes? It goes into your trash bin. Delete it from there, and there's another way to find it. We all know that. And these guys are still doing what they do. They're appointed. They're in charge, and nobody in the government is able to come and say, smarten up. And should the police be charged? Should somebody go to prison? Of course they should, but I'm always reminded of the young boy that I met many years ago. He was about 13 years old. He was a terrible guy. He was a bully. He did all kinds of bad things to everybody. He was right there in your face. And I went up to him and I said, where's your mother? I want her. I want to see her. And he said, why? And I said, I want to go give her a smack. He said, what? You'd hit my mother? I said, yeah, because she didn't hit you, and she needs to. And that's a bit of a story, I know, but that's the story here. The government needs to be smacked because they're the ones that have enabled the policemen to do what they do. They're just a whole bunch of Gestapo/Nazi bad guys, and they're in charge. They want to disarm the country, and they're appointed. Nobody elects any of these policemen. Pretty wild. And guess what they vote? Hey, we all know that. They don't vote right. And they don't even vote Conservative just because they have nowhere else to go. They vote Liberal only because they don't want to vote NDP because it doesn't sound good, when in fact they really are. Or dictator, that's kind of a word that comes to mind. Now, the Quebec government in Canada, they're upset now as well because they say we lost, and I'm talking now about the gun registry. They want the information. And again, I've already said the information's still there. Nobody got rid of it. I'd like to talk to the computer guy that pressed all the buttons and erased it forever. They still use it. And why? That's a registration. It ain't a control. Now, let me tell you something else. A friend of mine in Calgary just the other night, his daughter, I think she's 17, could be 16, she had a party in the basement. A bunch of her friends were there. One of the boys that was there, a young boy, in error, pocket dialed 911. Several police cars showed up at the door, and my friend Terry went to the door and he explained it, and the boy came up, and there was nothing untoward, and everybody was happy. Just before they left, guess what? The police officer looks at my friends and he said, oh, are there any firearms in the house? What kind of a question is that? Then my friend said, no. I would have said, it's none of your bloody business. Why do you ask? Gestapo, that's what they are, the Conservative Party in Canada. I'm still on the Canada thing because this is something that, even if you're watching from America, and most of our viewers are from America and other places in the world, but it's something that could come to a country near you. And in America, they're trying to come near to you. You got to pay attention because you got to get all these governments on track because they work for us. They don't know that any longer, but that's the way it's supposed to be. The Conservatives have a convention coming up in Calgary sometime this fall. I'm a member, I'm a card member, I guess I'll go. I'm not even sure that I want to. Who are these guys? They don't look after the citizen. You got High River, you got all these people being treated like culprits and criminals, and the government doesn't deal with it. You should go in there and grab those policemen and throw them in their own bloody prison. Hey, just saying. Let me end today with a story. To help rescue the economy, the government announced recently that next week the Immigration Department will start deporting senior citizens instead of illegals in order to lower old age pensions and health care costs. Older people are easier to catch and won't remember how to get back home. And you know what? I started to think about you, and I was troubled. I shed a tear, and then I remembered, I'll probably see you on the bus. Y'all come back tomorrow. More for you from the right. See ya.